Dude says.
Does this
nut.
computer have a catalytic converters?
Fixed it.
And then it was literally just refresh the page and turn the thing on and off.
No, come on, dude. There was way more things than that.
Smash it.
I noticed that about technology. That is by far the most annoying aspect of the technological world we live in is software. Because it continues to update,
all the time.
But none of these companies are talking to each other, right? So like right now we're using a Rode microphone. There's no like software in it. You plug the thing in and it's going to work every time. In 40 years, as long as like the mechanics and the hardware of the thing are in good shape and they don't fray out, it's going to work. But my iPhone 12 in 6 years is not going to work anymore.
2 years.
I give it 6.
3 years for a phone for me. And then they just start crapping out. Because of the
so
software, not the hardware.
No, the hardware is great. But if you don't update it, then you're good.
Yeah. But there's also the like, don't update like a laptop and your shit should work as long as you don't really mix up your stuff. But if you try to introduce something new, you're screwed for sure.
Exactly. That's a bugger. I've heard this from, I was either like a recording professor I had when I first went to college, because I did go to college for a year, boys. Let's write that down.
Dude. That's why you're so smart. Huh?
Believe that.
Crazy.
And he was like, get your studio the way you like it. Don't update it. Get everything like to where it needs to be and then never change it.
Yeah.
Because if in 3 years I go and I get like a new interface,
Yeah.
well, the software that I'm going to need for that to work is probably not going to be compatible with the MacBook Pro that I bought 3 years ago.
It will not be.
Yeah, it's so annoying. And that's what we've just been dealing with for the last 2 hours. We already have.
I'll take your responsibility, man. Like a lot of it's my own ignorance to this stuff as well. So you're trying to teach me from 3,000 miles away across screens, and I'm just like, dude.
No, but
I
it's
mean, I can
not
like
that-
take direction, but I'm ultimately.
It's not that, because I'm very savvy when it comes to technology, and I still run into the same problems that you just ran into.
It's true.
Where you come up, you've done nothing. All you did was turn the laptop off.
Yeah.
And then turned it back on. And for some reason, the driver from the headphone amp that your Aunt Lucy got you 4 years ago, that you were like, oh, this is working fine 3 hours ago, just like updated somehow without you knowing. And because that little headphone amp company doesn't communicate with Mac and Apple doesn't open source their iOS, nobody knows like what's going to be compatible when they release new software. So
I didn't
it's
even know
just
what
a
you just said.
clusterfuck.
Open source your iOS.
I've seen that movie.
So I've
done that sexual position before.
I think what that means, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think what open source means is like all of
I don't know what it means.
like all of
Some college, Jules. Some college.
a year.
yeah.
Let's be reasonable here, okay?
Nice.
Not Ben
Full
Franklin.
semester.
Tesla open sources all of their patents. So they make it like open to the public, which is unheard of. Very few businesses will like go get take the amount of time and energy and effort and money to get a patent, because it's super hard in our country to do it. And then just allow anybody to see that patent so they can recreate it. That's bonkers. Apple doesn't do that with their software. Apple is like very litigious.
Sure.
Doesn't that mean like sue happy?
I don't know.
Litigious?
You're the one who had a year of college, dude. We got a painter and a wombat over here.
You're the one that used conglomerate in a sentence.
Conglomeration.
Yeah, before we got on this podcast,
So
Alan was just
litigious-
dropping vocab words wrong.
And litigious just means like they take people to court a lot. They sued Samsung. Samsung did something wrong in their software, meaning like the back end of the coding in like your iPhone. They can have patents on that code combination.
Sure, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You patent everything. I grew up with a kid whose dad patented the milk carton.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Speaking of where you grew up, I was just in Santa Barbara this last weekend.
Yeah.
It's so hard to think that you grew up there.
How good is this?
It's
good
crazy.
is
Hold
it,
the mic
dude?
up to your mouth so people can understand you.
How good is this?
There you go.
Do you understand me better?
Why is that, Alan? Why do you say that?
Just because it's like, that's where, I mean, that's just where every rich person who makes it in Hollywood moves to Santa Barbara or like has a house there. It's like,
It's old Hollywood. It's like an old Hollywood retreat. Lost Trustafarians.
it's crazy. It's a crazy city. It's like,
Well, it's like the 1% and then down to just like not,
Yeah.
you know.
like the disparities gigantic.
Yeah, there's like Oprah and then my parents' house, which is
Yeah.
not great, but in a great place.
It
Right.
was like, I mean,
The
I think- I
location's
thought-
epic.
Yeah, it's a great house.
Yeah, it's a house for sure. But I mean, it's not like
Right. You
I
didn't grow
understand
up-
what Alan's saying, and I totally know what you mean as far as the like it realizing that situation later in life was like a big shock to me.
Well, what's funny, let's not funny, but what's crazy to me is that for my own personal standings, like being in Seattle,
Sure.
right? Like I moved to Seattle as a broke kid
Yeah.
and then like started making a little bit of money. And I was like, I have to make so much more money in order to survive in this city.
Totally.
And like when I decided at one point, I'm going to be a musician, this is going to be a thing that I'm going to do. And I'm going to make as big, as large or as small of a living as I possibly can. But I saw the ceiling. Like I saw the ceiling as like late night TV shows, you know, global tours.
Sure.
And I'm going to be situated, bro.
Yeah.
And then I'm living in Seattle. I'm like, I am so far from situated.
Totally.
I can afford a studio apartment and
And
Hardly.
it's only gotten worse in the last since you lived there in the last 5-6 years. It's gotten insane.
exactly. So I guess my perspective is thinking about where you grew up in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And like my experience with like being in Seattle, starting to finally make money and still
Yeah.
being like, oh my God, I need to make like tens of millions of dollars.
But it was the
in order to live
situation
here.
of my parents like coming from New England. They haven't had $1,000 in their bank account their whole life. They lived to live there.
Right.
Like
So
they're-
their perspective was, we love this location so much.
Yeah, like their entire like living wage went into just surviving in Santa Barbara and like having a home there
Yeah, it's wild.
And raising you.
and raising,
guys.
you know, and my sister and I were never wanting for anything. I mean, we definitely didn't have the best of the best, but they definitely did whatever they could. We were very involved and cared for.
Yeah, it's so cool. See, because I guess I love Seattle.
Yeah.
Location, like there's no better city.
It's a great city.
But when I was coming up, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to like put money, like plan
No, like-
for the future.
Yeah, we
and then-
never took trips to Stad or anything. You know what I mean? There was no like vacation plans.
You never went to
Where's that?
never went to Catalina Islands.
I did Catalina, but it was paid for by the school.
Hey, nice.
Nice, dude. Wine mixers.
They got dolphins there.
They got dolphins there.
They got dolphins there. Well, how good's this, fellas? Wom, 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 wom. Sound the buzzer, sound the alerts. It's how good's this?
Yeah,
how do
baby.
you know it?
Give it to
How
us.
could you tell? Could you tell? Did you know? Check this out, guys. Speaking of Seattle and places that we grew up, the Mariners just officiated Bark at the Park night,
Nice.
which is you bring your dogs to the stadium and you hold them up like Simba from The Lion King, and they play good old Elton John's.
Pajamas, penguins on the bottom. Pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom. Pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom.
So everybody, did you get in free if you brought your dog?
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know like what happened. I just like, you know how they have like bobblehead nights and stuff like that.
Right.
Just Bark at the Park. Like, it sounds like a mess.
Sounds awful.
I mean, it was
Did they
definitely a mess. I hope people tip the cleaners.
did they discontinue? Did they discontinue hot dogs for that specific game? Because that feels inappropriate.
I wonder how many dogs died that night. Like, it's like, it doesn't sound like it's a very like sensible thing to do.
It sounds
Bring
dangerous.
Dogs to an arena, all right?
Like
But
bringing
it
Ricky
is
to an
beautiful.
arena.
I was just thinking that, dude. Ricky like bringing Ricky first of all outside the house
Yeah.
anywhere is treacherous, but bringing her to a a stadium full of other dogs
And kids.
Oh my god, that sounds like
Yeah.
a mess.
Yeah, it does. It
Where
does.
did they
but
poop and pee?
Who knows? on their owner's laps. I guess.
You know what's funny is
Give
when
them
you
a big gulp.
normally when you go to a park, like a ballpark, you can't re-enter. You can't
Yeah.
like leave the park and then re-enter.
Yeah.
So that they just like everybody watched about 3 innings and then they all left because they couldn't get back in with their dog.
Yeah.
They had to go take them to the
Yeah.
sidewalk to take a douche.
Some big power wash bill.
Yeah.
I think the Instagram or video, whichever video I saw of this thing, is literally the like 10-second moment where everybody's holding up their dog. Like it was all for an Instagram video.
Oh yeah.
I think,
Was it
you
during
know?
a regular game or was it like?
Yeah, it was during a game. And like there's literally 10,000 dogs there. And they're like some people are holding up their golden retrievers, like a 85-pound dog. They're just like falling over with it.
Ted throws his back out holding up Bart Canyon.
Those dogs were so confused. Plus, like, hold on. Like, I mean, how dangerous is that, anyways, with the, like playing fetch? If your golden retriever
Right. Runs onto the
sees a
field.
baseball flying through the air, like, it's definitely dive bombing the dome.
Yeah.
Damn it. We got another dog on the field.
I was mostly excited about it happening because it looked so cool, but I was also excited to talk about it because I'm like just thinking of the sensibility behind doing that and having the owners of the stadium or the people responsible for taking care of the stadium. Like, what did they have to go through to deal with that kind of situation? It sounds awful.
It doesn't sound. I mean, but listen, owning a dog in a city like Seattle, anyways, is, in my personal opinion, like hectic, kind of. Even in where I live, like we got 2 dogs, and I'm like, this is so irresponsible. Not so irresponsible. I mean, fuck it. Like, what are you gonna do? But
Yeah.
you got property out here,
Yeah.
right? Like your dog has space to run around.
Too much space.
Our dogs, like, I mean, I'm a relatively conscious dog owner.
Yeah.
And
You don't
we
have a
still
yard.
don't exercise our dogs as much as they should be exercised. Like, we got a kid, we
Yeah.
got lives,
Yeah.
we got
Well,
jobs.
when we take Ricky on a run, dude, she like is struggling hard. So, you try to exercise her. Chunk's a little better, but it's tough to exercise those dogs,
Yeah.
even when you
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost done with wedding season out here. So you'll
what
be
does
able to
that
bring.
mean?
Well, we can't.
Just bring the
Goose shits
pups.
everywhere as it is. We can't have more dogs out here because Laura's cleaning up dog poop where they set up chairs all fucking weekend. So having more dogs shitting where people pay $8,000 to watch someone get married isn't nice.
No, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
Especially when
You can
can't
cut that out.
especially when you can't tell if it's either human or
This
dog
is
poop.
personal.
I'm not interested in having a dog. Similarly to like, I mean, where I'm at currently with kids. Kids is a different story altogether. But like dogs, especially in New York, I don't know. Like I like dogs, but I like being uncle to dogs. I don't like.
Dude,
I
don't get
wanna
a
own.
dog.
Same thing though,
Don't
New
get
York.
a dog
I'm
in
not.
New York, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I have no interest in it at all. I see so many people that have dogs out here, and it just seems unfair. It's just like, I dated a girl who had a dog, and she was actually a great dog owner. She was very conscious of taking it to the park and walking. Like she would leave, she wouldn't stay out late because she had to go tend to her dog, and it was just like cool. But ultimately she had to leave all the time and like go take care of
it's
the
a
dog.
huge,
Sure.
it's a huge
Huge.
unnecessary responsibility. I mean, granted,
It's
like
necess-
no, it is like if you have a dog, it's a very necessary responsibility. But like, you don't need a dog.
I could never not
definitely
have a
not.
dog again though. But I know what you mean.
Really?
You
could
think
never
you'll
not?
always like after like
I can't. I don't. I wanted one since forever, and I was finally allowed to because it was the same reason. Laura's like, "You're gone 8 months a year with Al.
right?
You're not going to be here to raise the dog." But luckily, at that time, we had roommates that also were like, "Ooh, we have a dog. I'd want another dog." So we kind of like lucked into that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd want to go without having a dog. But that's probably because I'll just not have roommates, and I'll just like,
You're saying you don't want to go without. You always want to have a dog.
yeah.
Okay.
I like having
Yeah.
a
See, I'm
pooch.
opposite now. I don't ever want a dog again.
Well, you got a kid.
Even before, dude, like a year into having a dog, a year into having a dog, I was like, I'm over this.
Whatever,
I
dude.
love my dogs. Like, they're
Yeah.
great.
You
Don't
have
get
a
me
couple
wrong.
tequila shots, and you and Bookie are cuddled up on the couch.
Dude, don't get me wrong. That's amazing. Like, I love it. But it's it's a responsibility, right? Like my vehicles, you know,
Yeah.
you have a vehicle that like you constantly have to take to the shop and it constantly costs you money. Yeah. And you're like, this doesn't serve the purpose that I want it to serve, which is I want it to take me from point A to point B. And I want it to sit in my driveway. And whenever I go and turn the key, it turns on. Dogs, cars, they're not, unless you get like a car that is super expensive, it's going to constantly break down. It's an annoying thing. Dogs, the same thing. Like you got to clip the nails. You got to clean up the hair. You got to clean the poop. You got to take them for walks. You're traveling all the time. You got to pay money to have them sat. You know, it's like, it's such a responsibility. That's so annoying.
I don't think people, when they're getting dogs, are thinking pragmatically. I think they're thinking emotionally, and like there's this like deficit emotionally in their life where they're just like, and I'm not speaking for everybody. Like people love animals and like want to, maybe adopt animals or save animals, do whatever. There's a million ways to go about it.
Well, you're speaking right to me. I thought about it emotionally. I didn't think about both Taz and I thought about it emotionally, not pragmatically.
Yeah.
I remember calling my mom. I was like, Mom, we got a dog. She's like, and her first words are, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Because like I travel 10 months a year.
Yeah.
And like in order for me and Taz to have a relationship, I got to be like, babe, do you want to come out on the road every so often and see me?
Yeah.
And bro, do you know how expensive it is to get like dog sitters?
You got a difficult dog too.
Yeah, we got a difficult dog. All dogs are difficult.
I don't know, man.
They're difficult.
Steve just babysat. I am very grateful for my relationship to all my friends because I'm getting to see them raise dogs, raise kids, have marriages firsthand. And not to say that I'm not doing it because I'm watching my friends do it, but I'm getting a firsthand look at it from my perspective that I'm not participating in any of those things. Certainly having a dog is in my opinion something that I'm not interested in at all. Not because I don't like dogs at all, but just because I see that. Like I lived with you, Alan, for 7 months, and we took Ricky to the vet 5 times during that, and it was like a chunk of change that you were dropping every time you went. And obviously, like she needs that, but it's just like, yikes, man.
If you do get a dog, if you end up deciding at some point in your existence to buy an animal that happens to be of the canine descent, do your best to buy one that hasn't been inbred for 4,000 generations. Because Ricky Lake she should be like, it's an inhumane creation, yeah. Ricky Lake. I love her to pieces. She's literally the light of my life. Don't get me wrong. I'm serious. Like I love her.
I know you do.
I love the bookie. Yeah. I love flipping her on her back and tickling them goodies.
Yeah, for sure.
Tickling them goodies.
But she is a natural disaster. She's like, no thing like that would ever exist in nature. If you put her out in the wild for a night, she would be done. She'd be done. I mean, come on.
You'd always solicit Ricky on me when she'd be coming up and trying to like lick my shins, and she'd like be sitting right down on me. She'd smell like her breath. It was.
It's because she had a meteorite of shit in her body when you were over.
Coming out of all of her orifices.
That's true.
She's better now. No, she's still.
You'd be like,
she still
dude,
stinks.
Julian,
she's just
let
dirty.
Let her lick you, dude. Let her kiss you. Just let her kiss you let her tongue you, dude. Just give it to her. Come on, try it out. We'd be like sitting there watching a movie at like 2:00 in the morning, and just be like, let her do it, dude. Just let her lick your eyeballs. Let her lick inside your eyelids, dude. Come on, just give it to her. She wants it, dude. Just give it to her. I was like, no chance, dude. This sucks. God, she's like staining my face with her scent. The aroma hurts.
Yeah, she's an interesting
special
character,
girl.
Man.
Special.
This is what I love. This is what I love. These types of conversations where you like talk about all the things that are awful, and you're like, "But I love her. She's so good. This is the best." This
No,
the
I
best
mean,
thing
like,
that's ever existed.
isn't that?
I love Ricky.
Yeah,
isn't that
so do I?
Isn't that an honest regard to like love though?
Yes, it is.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we could all sit in a circle, and if we were hyped up enough on honesty medication, we'd be like, yeah, dude, this part of you sucks.
For sure.
This thing you do fucking sucks, bro. Quit being a fuckboy on the internet, like quit, look at, whatever.
Oh, I suck for sure.
but then we'd be like, but dude, God, I love you so much.
Exactly.
That's just love. It's just how it is. It's just like
I was actually just thinking about that today, where you, Alan, actually like came down on me when I was with you because I was on my phone so much, and I was like conscious of that today, in thoughts of coming back and being like, I'm not going to do that this time around, because that was I think when you're talking about like having the truth drug coming out, it's like for sure, like we would have plenty of things to say about each other, and I remember that being like something that you were kind of like getting really irritated with me at, and I'm not going to do that this time. And if I do, you both have the right to punch me in the face, saying it now. But I'm abusing it.
That
I'm
love,
just doing it normally.
that love grows with those feelings, though, and thoughts and emotions. You wouldn't have those if you didn't care at all.
I
You
think
just,
so.
you know, you just
right. It's
brush it off. You're like, why is it worth my time?
It's funny because nowadays we're presented with so many different human relationships than we can actually manage. So we have opinion on, you know, what people are doing in Idaho with, you know, whatever their politics are, right? Because we have the capacity to, because we have so much information about what's happening all over the world, right? There's like a select few of people that we probably should utilize our intention towards, like thinking about their lives, right? So Jules, you staying at my house, and I'm like, we're working together on projects, and you know, when we were like, you know, you're going through a breakup, you were drinking, which I don't think that fits your personality that great.
Right.
Makes you anxious. You're kind of already prone to anxiety, and you're going through a breakup. You're starting a new podcast. You're like, I'm getting attention from these honeys. So you're just flipping the scrolls, bro. You're just on the gram, like you're on it full time. And it was, there was moments where I was just like, bro, we're not gonna get anything done. You keep checking your phone every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In that situation, in that scenario, that's a positive execution of energy.
Totally.
But what's interesting is how nowadays we're, like me personally, I'm propelled towards executing that same type of energy for like literally my best friend, which is reasonable. I'll be like, I think it's reasonable for me to execute that energy towards a bunch of like meta strangers that I have no connection with. Like, that's so weird to me. There's not necessarily a point with that through line, but do you know what I'm talking about? Does that happen in your life where you're attempting to try to express that, like, I've got this opinion about certain ways that people I don't know are living, and I'm going to...
Yeah, I mean, like, talking inconsequential shit about something you don't believe in is just kind of like talking about that.
Talking shit.
You're just talking shit. But if you're talking to a friend about it, you're like, okay, well, that's to their face. It's either constructive or not, but they're going to give me their feedback. But I trust that they'll be there to at least hear me.
Totally. And in regards to what we were talking about that day, like, I think there was something that I pulled from that, the expression that you gave to me, which was like, I'm kind of fucking irritated because we're trying to do something here and you're just like sitting there looking at your phone. One, I know that you aren't necessarily one that loves confrontation, so that to you probably took energy that you had to like kind of get out of your system that wasn't enjoyable for you. And two, I recognize that it was stupid in of itself. Like, I walked away with that being like, I'm kind of ashamed because I know I'm conscious that I shouldn't be doing this as it is. Like, I should be focused on what I'm trying to accomplish and do. And so overall, it was like good of you to say it. And I think as you get closer and develop your friendships, you're more capable of having those types of conversations, of being able to press each other like that in those honest ways and be like, hey, dude, like, check your fucking self, like, get it together. Let's go. Come on. Let's like move. Let's keep going. And you did that for me. And I was just like, you're right. You know, I wasn't like, oh, dude, like, this is because it wasn't important and it was just dumb.
Yeah. What's funny is how, and I don't know if it's my personality trait. It probably, I mean, I'm sure it's an accumulation of a lot of different things, but I envy people who can not take criticism, but have an exchange with their human. I see this a lot on the East Coast where there's exchanges in like, hey,
Smack
dude,
talk.
it's not even smack talk. It's just like telling them as it is. Like, hey, dude, you're doing this and it's annoying. And the other person's just like, whatever, F you, you know? But at least it's out in the open.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I don't know if that seems to be a West Coast trait. And I hate it to break it down to binary like that because it's an ignorant thing to do. But
Sure. But there's definitely a passive aggressive vibe out here versus like just straight up getting it out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I envy that about people who are able to do it. Taz is much better at doing that than I am. She's very much just like, if she feels, well, to me, I think to other people, she's not comfortable doing that, especially like other people who are American, because she's kind of picked up on that trait, which is like the West Coast, Pacific Northwest, like passive aggressive vibe. Yeah. But she's naturally prone to be like, to tell me what she's feeling and doesn't put any icing on it. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I think that's useful. That's useful. And how I receive it, how we receive that sort of criticism, that's our own personal issue.
Sure.
You know,
Totally.
like how we receive, like, you know, if you were in that moment to get butthurt about me being like, hey, dude, we're doing a project here, get off your phone. That's your own fault.
Of course.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
But
Well, I think also like as empaths, we assume that we're that means we're supposed to be kind to each other and we're supposed
Right.
to be like polite and not confrontational. But actually, it's the opposite. Like, be truthful, be real with one another and express what is happening when it's happening. If you're actually an empath, the way that you consider yourself to be one, then what you did to me was right and appropriate. And I think, like what you just said, if I were to combat that and be like, oh, fuck you, dude, like bullshit, that's on me. And so I'm glad that I recognize that.
And in that moment, how you sent it back to me, right? So to even take it a step farther, if I were to say something and then you were to go, screw you, or if I'm Julian, like you're on your phone too much, it's messing up our flow. And then you were to come back at me to go, F you, dude, you don't know shit. How I receive that is also my fault. So if I just be like, look, it's out in the open, like I did my due diligence, just putting it out there and saying how I feel, I'm not going to catch your defensiveness and heighten it even more. I'm just going to go, cool, whatever. Like, it's a two-way street. It's like a catch and release sort of system that you have to be either really just hardened to it and not care, or be very precise about how you interact in those situations.
Totally.
But bringing Ricky Lake to the fucking Mariners game, talk about hell.
No, just to button up that last statement, I think like it's a testament to friendship, and it's cool and it's hard, and friendship can be difficult to navigate a lot of times. And it's awesome because I think, the farther along we get, we're becoming more conscious of like what we each need as individuals and figuring out how to articulate that with each other. That's really important, especially as we like continue to try to like have a working relationship as well as a relationship and just like a living relationship. So it's cool, and it's a lot of trial and error, but I think we're doing a pretty righteous job, fellas.
We're getting you a Metro PC flip phone when you come out here to Spokane, bro.
I say all of that to say that I'm like gonna be like a lot more conscious of that. I don't like that part about me, being on my phone so much, but I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of people feel that same way. It's a symptom of our culture's, placement where we're at, and it's fucking shitty. But
it's such an interesting catch-22 because, we've developed as adults with these devices in our hand, and I don't know very many people's revenue streams that aren't directly connected to the amount of time you spend on the internet. Like, regardless of if you're in banking or if you're in real estate or if you're in insurance selling, like being on and utilizing the internet towards connecting to a clientele service is vital. And so you're naturally like compelled to be on this thing. But, you know, it's like, God, it's like anything that can be entrapping, right? It's like having a wine with dinner is like totally doable and actually healthy for you in a lot of respects, right? But drinking 3 bottles of wine after dessert, you know, it's like a diminishing return after a while. And I think that's the same thing with the internet. It's like we live in a day and age where what you constrict, how you like cut yourself off is what we're dealing with, right? It's like how good you are at disciplining yourself from, okay, I know I'm just scrolling TikTok right now and I'm not getting any like personal value from this.
Yeah. Isn't the worst when you actually become aware of that and you continue doing it? You're like,
Oh, I mean, that's
I
like,
know
yeah.
this is brain melting, right? Business that I'm tending to right now, but I'm not stopping.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you pay attention to it and you just keep going. I have that happen sometimes when I'm like falling asleep or something, which is so bad. Like the last thing I see is just my screen. Like I sometimes have out of body experiences with myself while I'm just like laying on my bed, and I like will see myself just like with my face glowed up on my bed, like laying, and it's just like, what are you doing, dude?
Do you ever have dreams about being on your phone?
I don't know. Probably.
I've never had any
don't-
dreams about being on my phone.
Yeah, I can't think about that. I mean, I can't picture or recall. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've
don't
never
know.
for as often as we utilize this device, and for as connected
doesn't-
to it as we are, I never have dreams about it.
No, me
Doesn't
either.
go and fall into your subconscious. Yeah, I don't think I do either. It's weird.
That's an interesting deep dive.
Yeah,
Like,
it is an
why?
interesting deep dive. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are people that I don't know. It's such a small like object to keep track of in your dreams that you probably have phone on you, but it's like never the subject of the actual overarching dream that you're having, right? So like you remember dreams being, oh my God, we like went on this crazy adventure and I was falling, or like my teeth were falling out, or I was running from the cop, whatever. I guess I'm telling you guys about my fucked up dreams, but
My teeth are falling out. It's so specific.
have you ever had those dreams?
I've never had teeth falling out. I've had like
Never teeth, no.
Oh man, they're the
running and
worst.
not being able to run, like really wanting to get away from something and not having the
Yeah.
capability. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah,
I've recently like have just like really violent dreams.
really.
Yeah, like I'm just like going postal.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You
it's
are?
weird. I am. Yeah, I'm just like mad, and there's like a bunch of people that need to get their comeuppance, and I'm gonna give it to them. And I wake up and I'm just like, what is? This is not me. I'm not. I don't know what it
Crazy.
is. Like it might be that I'm just having too much meat before I go to bed or something. Like I think about
Well,
my.
maybe also just because of the state of the world, man, that we're living in, and like what's going on, with everything. You really, pay attention to things, and maybe there is some shit that you're pissed about because of the way that things are right now. So it's not like it's that hard to read into, but yeah, that is interesting that you've been having those.
Yeah, it's been wild.
Yeah.
Those the teeth falling out. I can't believe you guys haven't had that one.
No.
It's so awful. Like they don't fall out. They like start like chipping away and like
Oh my
fall like little
goodness.
pieces. Like you're just like spitting out little pieces like constantly, and they keep coming. And then you just
Wow.
have like these little jagged nubbins,
Ugh.
and you're just like, oh my God, like I can't talk, and you just keep spitting out more and more teeth. It's awful.
Yeah,
Crazy. I mean, I have
That's really
reoccurring
crazy.
dreams, but nothing like that.
What are your reoccurring dreams?
They're usually just like, I have one where I get hit by a train, which is weird. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die by falling downstairs. I have that one a lot.
Do you ever-
And then the main one's like, it's like a weird like beach college town, but it's like a bunch of friends, but we're just like on an adventure, like the Hardy Boys or something. And that one's pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that. Do you ever have nightmares where me and Julian put you on multiple group texts?
It's just a living nightmare that I have to fucking suffer through. I don't dream of that, trust me.
But if you ever get a text from Steve, it's always the best. It's such a
dude,
reward.
it's either a glass of milk or a yeah.
No, or like
I'll tell you the yaws I'm not conscious for.
Oh no, I know.
Like this morning, I woke up.
If I text you before 1 p.m., I know it's most likely you're not conscious for a
Like
reply.
I didn't realize that I wrote at all to that text thread today until I got up and was like, what?
Yeah, because
What happened?
Because when I was like, be there at noon. It was like 2 seconds after you said, If I'm like, start at 1,
Yeah.
and then when you came, like, you're like, sorry, dude, I just saw this.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you texted me 2 seconds before it.
I was dreaming.
He
I
was
was in
out.
a dream state.
He's in a
you
college
been-
town, dude, doing hood rat shit with his
Yeah,
friends.
jumping down fire poles and flicking noses.
Have you been using your CPAP machine?
I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, really? I was gonna
No,
say,
it's a
have you been
process,
sleeping?
but it's confirmed that I'm getting one, and I just have to fill out some paperwork, and they're gonna mail it on over.
Dude, don't get if they send you one that like doesn't work, don't give up. You need to get the one that works because I think you need this big time.
Yeah. Apparently, I haven't slept right in 20 years, but they're gonna send me the machine that insurance is covering, and then I'm gonna accessorize.
What do you mean if you don't get the right one? It's not like it's a
Like I
therapist
think
or
his,
something.
There's, like,
I think
nice
they're gonna
machines and-
send him like I think they're gonna send him like a Ford Focus, and I think homeboy needs a Bentley.
Homeboy needs a fucking.
Like he needs a Bentley. First of all, he sleeps on his face.
I need a 747.
Yeah, you need a J5, and they're gonna send you a Horizon Air 1972.
Yeah, JetBlue, Spirit. Yeah. The recalled Spirit airplanes.
Oh my god!
I don't know. They're gonna send me some, and we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm just happy that it's been a year process, and it's like I'm glad it's just finally getting done. And luckily, I know a few people that have the machines that have them pretty streamlined.
Our friend Greg
Yeah, Gregory.
has severe sleeping problems.
Yeah, he doesn't use a machine though.
He has one. He got prescribed a CPAP machine,
I know,
and he just
doesn't use
never
it.
used it.
Yeah, I'll use it.
That's what I'm saying. Like you got to stick to it. You got to go. You got to go in.
Well, yes, Greg didn't use it, I think, because of the road and his insecurities about sharing a room and fucking breathing into this machine. Two, he had the like big old face mask.
Yeah, I mean, whichever. Listen, if you have diabetes, okay,
Yeah.
and your doctor's like, "Hey, boy, we're gonna cut your legs off if you don't do the thing," and then you're like, "It's kind of inconvenient."
Yeah.
Like I think that sleep is that important that if you get if you're waking up 12 times an hour,
Yeah.
bro, like I hate to say it on air, but you're fucked.
For sure. We all know this.
You gotta get that. You gotta get that CPAP, baby. And you gotta get your sleep right. I think that would be such a game changer. If you are you not breathing right now? Are you holding your breath?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 7 deep breaths a day.
Just went unconscious.
That's all I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to get.
I'm excited too, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
and
I wonder-
to get used to it. I'm gonna have 3 bottles of wine and watch
Nice.
dogs being held up at Mariners Stadium, and then
Nice,
pass
dude.
out.
Did they? Yeah, I want to dive back into the Mariners. Like, what did they do? Like the 7th inning stretch or anything? Was it like the 7th inning?
That's what I was assuming.
Yeah.
Is that it
I
was
mean,
like
even if they did that, they would still have to like. They're all just holding their dogs on their laps. Like, I'll put a little clip up of this in the thing.
okay.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
They're
people
just-
that look like they're
they're
Saint
just
Bernards.
holding their dogs. So like, it's cool for the moment to get a little video of it, but I don't know when they did it at what point in the game. But either way, that's like a 3.5 hour game. you know?
Yeah, baseball
So,
games
I'm
aren't
curious.
short.
No, they're
Baseball
long.
games are not
Well, that's why
short,
I'm
dude.
curious if they just like let a bunch of people in during like warm ups or something, and then they were like, "Now you got to
It's a-
go.
it's
We're
a full
bringing other
stadium.
people in." It's a full stadium. It's like
Full
a 360
stadium, dude.
view of the stadium.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Did they have to
Insane.
buy a ticket for their dog, or like the dog came free?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, the whole thing.
You have
seems
to buy a
like
ticket
Those
for
are
your
good questions.
You got to buy a
Show.
ticket for your dog if you bring him on plane. You got to pay
No, I bet
extra.
you got like a discounted ticket if you brought your dog. It was probably something that they were just trying to do to be like, like I don't know.
It's a great idea. Speaking
don't
of the
know.
Mariners, they're actually having a good season this year. I think they're
Are
like
they?
2 games behind first place. Yeah, it's
Wow.
been a minute
Wow.
since
They
the
only played,
Mariners.
like,
That's not
6
first
games?
place.
Thanks.
Have they? Are they deep in the seas?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know where they're at in the season. Their season's long. I mean, like, they play, 180 games or something crazy like that?
Yeah, I think it's 156 regular season games.
Crazy, dude.
That's nice. Will you take me to a Seahawks game while I'm home, Alan?
Nope.
Come on, now,
165,
dude.
I don't fucking know.
It's like over.
It's a lot of games. People that are like, baseball's whatever. It's like these guys play like 5 games, 3.5 hour games a week
Exactly. Yeah.
with travel. Like, that's some physical shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
Right.
wild.
Yeah. It's people like wrestling's fake.
Yeah, I don't care if you play 5 games and run around a soccer field. It's 5 games a year.
Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit.
No, I'm with you.
Talking
Let's,
like Alan.
let's go there. Let's go there. It is incredibly taxing, just simply the travel. Like, regardless of how good you're traveling, you're like, oh, they got their own plane. Like, bro,
They're
like,
still traveling.
just getting on a plane and flying on an airplane is taxing on your body.
Time zones, yeah.
Time zones, like,
Taxis to hotel, sleep, get up. They do warm-ups, physical training, all that shit.
yeah. And then they're trying to party and do crazy fun stuff with their homies at the bar after the show, and that's taxing on you. Like, not like being a professional athlete, like Derek Jeter. I kind of imagine what Derek Jeter was like when he was in the league. I would imagine he was like super disciplined.
Yeah, totally.
Just
Mass.
in bed at 9 o'clock
Yeah.
every night, like he has the IV of like young children's blood just pumping into his veins every morning.
Do you think that's what it takes?
I
to
think-
be
I think so.
Derek
To be
Jeter?
that good.
Not only does it take like an enormous amount of talent,
Yeah.
right? I think it takes so much more discipline than anybody fathoms.
To maintain it, I believe,
To
for sure.
maintain
Like,
it.
you can have a natural talent, I think, but maintaining that and being the best of
Right.
the best
Right.
is definitely a discipline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the off season too. I do this with like when I'm touring, like I'm pretty disciplined when I'm touring.
Yeah.
I don't drink when I'm on the road. I
Yeah, you're not
do my
eating-
best to get sleep. I'm eating all
You
right.
eat pretty good.
I'm doing 2 hours of warm up every day. I'm running every day. I'm very disciplined on the road. When I'm off the road, dude, I am a pile of dog shit.
Yeah, this guy plays McDonald's Monopoly like a motherfucker.
I mean, honestly, and
Cashing
in
your
order for me to
Quiznos credit
actually
card.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
in order for me to have a leg up and to rise above, it's 365 a year,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. Do you think that anybody who has been the best at what they do came from not being inherently gifted at that thing?
I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I think so.
To be the absolute best.
Yeah.
So you're talking like LeBron James.
Yeah, but like that's who we like go to. But yeah,
I don't know,
I
man.
think
Like,
you probably
basically, like,
have a
asking,
natural inclination of talent towards like if you're gonna be Stephen King, it's not just like, oh yeah, I just like decided one day that I liked writing or I thought that was gonna be a fun career path and I just wrote every single day. Like I think Stephen King probably had an inclination genetically towards that sort of occupation and then developed it. Took it from whatever, let's say like talent is 20% and then what you do to activate that talent is the other.
right.
And he just went above and beyond. But
Well, I think it's relative, though, because that's so subjective.
Totally.
On, like, being the best of the best. It varies so much, because Stephen King, probably to, like, literary scholars, isn't the best of the best writer. He's very commercially successful.
sure, so like what is the
Like
best is
Scorsese
subjective.
versus Michael Bay.
Very, very true. But let's just put all those people who
So-
are like epically successful into a little pool.
It's easy to do with athletics because that's like
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
quantifiable.
like you can be the quarterback for the Cowboys, but is Jerry Jones more successful?
I get your point. I get
And,
your
like,
point.
inherently more successful?
And I would make an argument that regardless of whether you're talking about Jerry Jones or you're talking about Des Bryant, both of those guys have a genetic disposition towards talent in those fields that have brought them to success. Des Bryant is obviously successful in a different capacity than Jerry Jones, but how maybe I'm understanding the question differently, Jules. How I understood your question was, do you think the best of the best have a natural talent towards that success baseline.
Pre-existing, right?
Yeah, and I would
Right.
make the argument that yes, that is the case.
Yeah.
I don't think that you could be without some sort of bend towards talent to a specific
natural
field.
thing, especially in athletics, I think.
I think in anything. I think in
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
I've had to,
Yeah, maybe.
I've had to check myself in regards to this theme before in my life because the people that I grew up with who were, in my point of view, in my frame of space, the best of the best. Like our friend Travis Snyder went to go play professional baseball. To me, he was the greatest. He obviously went to go play professionally and was proved to be challenged by the actual MLB. But I thought of the same thing for you, Alan. I was just like, oh, and then I gave me a chip on my shoulder because I was like, oh, these guys, Travis from like the age of 3 was like hitting grand slams, like it was crazy. He was already like had thunder thighs the size of mine now when he was 7. And I was just like, well, he's just genetically gifted. Like and completely discounting the work ethic that went into it. So I was just like, oh yeah, Travis is obviously playing professional baseball because he was inherently gifted at this thing, and if he wasn't, there'd be no other way for him to have done this.
Right.
And I thought the same with you until we've had conversations about that where I was like, oh, Alan's inherently gifted at singing. People that you have worked with alongside that you have found to be incredible artists as well. You've been like, wow, like I wonder, even when they're at that level that you're at, how many people aren't inherently gifted? Because I was discrediting a lot of times for a long time the work ethic that actually went into it. And it's like, well, you have to have both, I assume.
So, yeah, I mean,
I think it's both. I mean, I'll chalk it up to like this, where Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, right? He came in running the slowest 40 of a quarterback. He was a 7th round pick or whatever the hell he was. He was going to be a career backup. But every single person that's ever met him, like Jordan or LeBron, they're like, these guys are first and last out. Their work ethic is absolutely insane.
Right.
Where a guy like Jay Cutler can throw at a football field, but the guy's a jackass. You know what I mean? He doesn't study. He just has a gift. Not to say that he doesn't work hard, but like in comparison to guys that excel beyond their natural abilities or gifts can be the best, because part of their natural ability, I guess, is that they do have that work ethic versus just like a natural, like you can't teach height, right? Like I can't teach you 7 feet, but being 7 feet doesn't mean you're just going to be a really good basketball player.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe we're looking at it too coarsely in what is considered talent. Like we do this a lot with intelligence. We were talking about it a couple episodes ago. Like what is intelligence, right? So like we all have social intelligence where we can walk into a room, we can make anybody in that room like us. But you ask me to like engineer a carburetor and I'm lost. I'm never going to do that. You ask me like about some sort of math and I'm just nothing. Right? So like we equate intelligence on this plane that's strictly binary based upon, like the education system, which
Right.
makes sense. Like, I don't know if there's any better system for it, but I think it's the same with talent. Like, I think there is people who have been gifted with a talent for work ethic. That they have the ability to focus and see the future. Like if I put in this time every single day, that's a talent. And it may not be a physical talent like height or like shoulder width, you know, but I still think it's considered something. But to dive into that, what you were talking about, Jules, maybe a little bit more in depth of, seeing people like that and discrediting the amount of work ethic that goes into something. Oh, they're just born lucky. We do that a lot. Like naturally human beings will look at somebody else and go,
born a good skateboarder.
they're born lucky.
Yeah.
And I think that emotion right there is one of the most like personally deteriorating things you can do, because I think it assumes a lot, which is always detrimental to assume, but it's also discrediting like how much luck you personally have. Like first and foremost, the amount of luck that it would take simply for your specific sperm to meet an egg and for you to live like, and to develop enough in the 9 months. You know how many miscarriages there are?
Too many.
Just a simple fact that like your body somehow knows where to separate blood and oxygen, and you're going to utilize your time on this earth, the luck that you've been given, like bonkers luck, not only to just be born, but to be born like in our circle with our capabilities and our social capacity. You're going to utilize your time to worry about like Travis's thighs. You know, like what a waste! What a waste of your luck. Not you specifically, but I'm talking to myself here because I do the same thing. It's like, it's so they're lucky. It's like, and I just don't think it does anything positive. And I think that nowadays we are prone towards that bent because nobody's born at the same starting line. Everybody's born at different starting lines, and nowadays, depending on where your starting line is, you can get one-ups. Oh, well, I was born this way, or I was given this disadvantage.
That's not nowadays. That's all time.
It's all time, but it seems very, very prevalent right now.
That's because it's your time.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's true,
I definitely recognize now at this point in my life that that was, my ego really kind of controlling where my head was going in those thoughts towards who is inherently gifted, who is working hard at something. Because I think now at this point in my life and in all of our lives, it's becoming very clear that despite whatever kind of inherent gift you have, work ethic is still going to override that and need to be present at all costs, way over the fact of just riding on your innate ability to do something else.
Yeah, I think it's such a conundrum because, like it's nuanced. It's not this and that. It's all of it. Like there's people who have incredible work ethic that aren't going to get their shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you try to like take one solution for a massive amount of experiences, which is human life, right? Like when you're talking in these big generalities, well, it's work ethic over talent, or it's talent over, or it's position in life versus, or it's health, or, it's like, it's such a generalized conversation. I know, my brother was a super talented basketball player in high school, state MVP, like best player, voted, like given the award for best player in the state of Washington his senior year. Went to college, got and worked harder than anybody I've ever met at basketball. And went to college and like barely got any minutes.
Sure.
And worked his ass off. And he was the ninth guy on the bench, just like working in practice. He was the guy that was diving on the floor. He was the guy that was in there before everybody, out before everybody. And it's still like, it just, the physicality of the game.
Sure.
He didn't have it. Yeah. So it's yes and no. And to give advice about like, if it's just working, I think if you are going to give advice, the best advice you can give, because what people have the power to change is their work ethic. They don't have the power to change their physical gifts. I don't have the power to grow 5 extra inches. Maybe in 40 years with CRISPR or something, we might be able to do that. But when you're giving advice, when I'm giving advice to Rudy, right? I'm going to say, what are the things I'm going to instill? Don't quit. You can't quit. If you start something, you're finishing it. That's it. And do it the best you possibly can.
Yeah.
And those are I think that's the best advice that you can give somebody. But does that necessarily mean like the outcome's going to be the same as every single human being who no, it's not.
No,
in reality, it's not going to be the same outcome, but it's the best like foot forward that you can step.
Totally. I think there's a chip. I think the chip on the shoulder comes a lot from recognizing people who are really gifted at something that lack work ethic, because it's just like, whoa, man, like, what are you doing? Do something here. Like, this is incredible. Like, what do you, like, it almost like feels offensive because I sometimes feel like I don't have an innate ability to do really anything, and so I'm just like trying things. I'm relying more heavily on my own work ethic that I'm constantly developing. And so when I see somebody that I'm like that is obviously talented at something, and they're just like whatever, it's just like, give me that and I'll go do something with it. Like this is painful. So I don't know. Ultimately, I shouldn't care because like it's not me, and they get to do whatever they want. And if that's what they want to do, then that's what they get to do. But I just wish people would give themselves permission to like actually, touch base with their work ethic.
Look, don't resent me. I didn't want to become a professional dancer. Okay. I know
have
I'm
so-
naturally fucking
Steve,
gifted.
You have so much talent, though.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't like the tiny shoes.
This is
Bro.
this is an intervention.
I knew Jules was coming at an angle at me.
I'm coming in, dude.
He was just
I'm coming
shark
at
in the deep end.
Look here, Twinkle Toes.
Yeah. Dude,
We're
I
finished.
saw you. What if Steve could stand on his tippy toes like ballerinas? How impressive would that be?
I don't know.
I would
don't know.
totally. I would just not be surprised. I'm rarely surprised by the things that Steve is capable of doing. Where I'm just like, of course you can do that.
Wait, you can do that?
Like, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know how you're able to do that, but you're doing it.
I know.
Like flip your eyelid inside out. I'm like that. Look at the talent there.
Such a skill. I can move my ears.
Look at the talent there. Wow. What else are you?
You can
What
lick
else
his
are you?
nose.
I can swallow without a neck.
That's incredible.
I know, it's amazing.
You said you can swallow without a neck. You got an Adam's apple?
I don't know. It's buried under here.
His Adam's apple fell off the tree
It's
many
like
years ago.
Yeah,
He doesn't have an Adam's apple. He has an applesauce apple.
yeah. It's betwixt my clavicles.
Betwixt. Let's make that our band name, dude. Betwixt my clavicles.
I like it.
I do too.
Yeah, that is a good name for a band.
Yeah, that is a good name for a band. Thanks, Al.
Yerba mate just hit me in between the eyes.
Oh my God, guys! I'm coming in this week.
Thank God, dude. You're not
Next
leaving. I'm getting you blacklisted on every airline, so you can't leave.
We're getting the house, Jules. You're buying
Yeah,
a
let's
house,
do it.
and I'm gonna
You're
live in
buying
it. You're buying it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
just
have any
gotta-
money. I have a dog. He's expensive.
Yeah. Actually, guys, this brings up a good point. This is a good transition point for something that we can talk about for a minute.
Okay.
Because money is the point, and I just learned today that 6 in 10 Americans agreed that they're more financially confident than before the pandemic started. You
Oh,
guys
that's
agree?
great.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not more financially confident, but I'm more confident in my abilities to cultivate finance.
Oh, good band name.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Cultivate finance.
Yeah.
I've through the pandemic felt like this was the hardest 2 years financially for me that I've ever experienced in my adult life, and that I had to work for every single dollar that I put in my bank account. But what that did was it taught me that I am capable of putting dollars in my bank account, which before it was like there was sort of a small machine happening with my revenue
You were
stream.
just getting money.
And it was like, okay, well, we got a show. We're going to go do the show.
Yeah.
But it would take a full band. It would take all these elements to make it work. And the pandemic, the most overused word during the pandemic was pivot, right? But you had to come to like, we're in the entertainment industry. You had to go like, what are we going to do now? And not that what I've done through the pandemic is any like shining example of incredible art, but just feeling the confidence in my ability to learn how to execute that art. The confidence in my ability to learn
Yeah.
is, I think, the best thing that has come out of these 2 years, and gives me the confidence of like, if tomorrow I was like, I'm not going to do this music thing anymore. It's just, I'm gone too much or whatever the situation. I have a level of confidence that I would be able to go and do something else
Figure something else out.
and make a living
awesome.
doing it.
That is
That's
awesome.
man.
How about you guys?
Yeah, I feel similarly. mostly, sorry, in my efforts with you guys, and partially with, I don't know. I think just because right now I put so much of my energy, like in this last month, especially towards like coming back to being in Spokane and working on these things that we're gonna start working on. But I think being in the pandemic and being around you guys and learning how to do that pivot and learning how to cultivate some kind of wealth from nothing was such a rewarding realization for me as somebody who realistically just wants to actually be creating things for a living as it is. But I think like I agree with I agree that like I have become more conscious and more confident, but I also feel like I'm taking bigger risks now at this point in my life where I'm like right now I feel like I'm in this period of investment in myself and in what I'm going to do. So like I'm coming to be with you guys. I'm not working. I don't actually have a job. I'm not like employed. I'm fully accountable for what happens from here on out. You guys are people that are part of this community that I'm a part of and building around. But I have to be disciplined enough to create the wealth that I want and need to have to keep me going. And so I feel like the seeds are planted, but they're like I'm looking out at the garden and nothing has like come from it yet. And I'm like trying to water it and I'm trying to tend to it, but I'm like, please God, like let this fucking be an incredible garden, I suppose, and like let me figure out how to like really get the best harvest that I can out of this thing. And so there's a little bit of fear attached to that because I just don't know. There's some uncertainty, but ultimately I don't like confidence is an interesting word, but I think I'm just really filled with gratitude for being at this point in my life where I have the courage to make those decisions and to like jump out of the plane and not like really know how I'm going to land, but be like, all right, like I'm pumped for myself because I've wanted to jump for a long time. And I just sure as shit hope that there's like some mattresses down below to like catch me when I fall. So I don't know, that might be kind of hard to interpret. But,
No, that was well put. That was nice.
Yeah. Scary, but like it's crazy because like again I've said it a million times, like my life right now just feels like equally as exciting as it does terrifying, and I think that's a good place to be for me. It definitely feels motivating and like all right dude, like it's show up for yourself time.
Yeah.
And like prove it.
Yeah, I don't know what if your life wasn't like kind of exciting and kind of terrifying at the age of, what are we, 30? I'm 34. What are you, Jules? 35? What are you, Steve?
56.
56 years old, yeah. Then, yeah, I don't know if that would... I don't know if you're taking enough chance. I don't know if you're, like, putting the wheels on the ground enough if you're not kind of a little bit looking into the future, being like, ooh, this could go haywire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you're not, if you're not taking a risk, like if there's not some sort of risk involved in your forward motion, then, or at least for me personally, I'm sure there's some people who are like, I hate that risk. I need something very safe.
Sure.
I'm totally set. I'm sure those people exist, but my reality, like I can't. It's hard for me to think about a life where I would exist in that capacity, where I'm not like taking cuts in the batter's box.
Yeah. It's cool because I'm recognizing that I am capable, and I think there's confidence in that like I can do what I say I want to do. I've proven it to myself in so many different areas of my life, and now professionally I'm starting to approach it from this place of, all right, like if this is what you say you are going to do, prove it. Like just make it happen.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Like I know I don't work very smart. I think I work a lot harder than that, and I'm trying to learn how to get smarter at that and more efficient. And for me, that's just come from doing it and like whittling it down to being like, okay, cool. Now I kind of have like a better understanding of how to approach this thing that isn't 150 steps and now it's 60 steps instead, which still could get down to probably 2 if I was actually smart, but still, I'm ultimately just glad that this is where I'm at in my life. And it feels like an investment period for me, like coming out to see you guys and to do stuff and to like really kind of just like,
You mean moving out here? I mean coming out to move and like being out. It's like
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Did you hear that, Steve? Is there a move in there?
I don't know.
Slowly but sure. Like, I don't know.
I heard
It's just,
moving.
it is interesting.
The moving thing is.
It is. I don't know, man. Like
Migration? Was that what he said? When I migrate out there?
He
I don't
doesn't
know.
need to move out here, but I definitely heard him say he's going to buy me a house.
Because he said investment period.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some good investment. A lot of good investment properties in New York City for folk of our revenue stream to get in at the base floor.
I'm
Below
guys,
the base floor.
I mean, realistically, I'm trying to like do something with you guys that's ultimately going to make us a fucking shit ton of money. I mean, that's not the goal. My goal isn't to just be rich by any means necessary. But
How about just like enough money to live comfortably in a city
Totally.
that's not New York City?
for sure, dude. But but also acting is such a huge part of my life. That
Of course.
But
Yeah,
I'm
of
also
course.
figuring out how to do that in this way. I have
Sure.
scripts, I have projects, I have things that I'm trying to achieve. And at this point in my life, I'm just like, okay, now's the time to start doing those things rather than sitting around waiting for an agent to call me and be like, hey, bro, you got like an audition, so you should spend the whole day preparing for it and then not getting it. Like,
Yeah, that's
I'm
got to be.
just like,
I like that. With your experience with acting, that's the part of it that constantly like blows my mind.
Oh, just constant rejection.
Yeah,
Constant.
like the
Yeah, I
character
mean, I just-
development that has come out of that for you must be just so. Like you couldn't get that in any other scenario. Maybe a sales job.
Maybe.
Maybe like if you were the
Door-to-door
guy,
salesman.
if you were the guy at the mall who's just like, hey, bro, like he just tries to strike up conversation. I really like that hat, man. Hey, I'm selling cell phones over
Join
here.
T-Mobile, bro.
yeah, but the difference between that is that somebody like as an actor, you're selling yourself. So it,
You're
stings even
you're
more.
at least selling you're selling a perspective of a character through your personal experience of life.
Yeah, it's hard not
It's-
to take it personally.
For sure.
Yeah, it's fucking
But
wild.
you learn how to not because you have to. But yeah, I mean, I'm
You learn, you breathe, you learn, you cry, you learn, you live, you learn, you smile, you learn, you fall, you learn.
I think he's definitely given up on being a singer and moving into real estate.
Yeah, baby.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna come one way or another, and it's always gonna be a.
You better
It's
make
always
sure
gonna be
she
a-
comes first.
She always does.
Hey.
Hey.
It's a good way to wrap up the podcast, baby.
Yeah.
Let's end it there.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
No, Steve, come on.
Whatever. Yeah. No. You know what, though? I do want to say this before this episode wraps up, that we have one more episode after this until we're taking our season break.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. So I just want the listeners out here to know that we're going to be making a pivot and rebranding and taking a intentional season break for maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know. Alan told me not to give timelines.
Don't tell people timelines. We'll be back.
Yeah, but
we'll be
back
better
and
than
we'll be
ever.
We'll be continuing to give like snippets and clips and staying engaged with everybody. But we're gonna come back better than ever. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a better podcast. It's gonna be funner. We're gonna be together. It's gonna be great. So be looking out for the changes to happen. But yeah, we got one more episode, babies,
Yeah.
and then we're going on a little break. But
Going into
we're gonna have a
hibernation.
party with you guys on the next episode. So look forward to that. Everybody. Everybody, come on down. Come on now.
Dude, slow
Come
fade on
down,
the
come
boom cam,
down.
boom, bang, bang,
I'm
bang, bang.
sweating.
We love all y'all. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Bye.
Oh, Boo Boo, did you just make it to the end of the video? Yes, you did. Do you want to see more videos just like this one? Huh? Do you?
Well, then head over to patreon.com/live at the lodge, where you can support the How Good's This podcast, as well as the entire Live at the Lodge family.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to get exclusive merch, personalized shout out videos. Me and Jules, we're going to show up at your house and baptize your nephew, huh? Check it out. Patreon.com/live at the lodge.